I wanted to find out, can you beat Crash Bandicoot without collecting a single Wumpa fruit from any boxes, enemies, or just lying on the ground? Can we do it? Let's find out. Starting out with N-Sane Beach, obvious points out the way first. We of course cannot break the Wumpa boxes, so in each level we'll have to go around or jump over them. Aku boxes are still fair game though. In the next level, Jungle Rollers, we come across enemies where we do have a small issue. Knock them into crates, all good. Just leaves the fruit where it is. Knock an enemy into another enemy. So spinning enemies is not a great way to go. Also, a small annoying detail that on failed runs, we keep the fruit collected unless we game over, which bugged me as I wanted to finish each level at 0, but just the way the game is. Speaking of annoying things, came across this roadblock, which at first seeming pretty impossible to get by. Except with a bit of precise jumping and spinning, we can break the boxes without collecting the fruit, and then by spinning again, we can spin the fruit away. Was trial and error to get it right, but managed to get past with 0 fruit collected. Then to the Great Gate level, which had problems right from the start. First blockade, thankfully wasn't too tricky to get past. Then the second required a bit of 3D thinking to get around. And the third, just precise jumps. All to end up mistiming a spin and jumping into a floating Wumpa. Great. Going through steps 1 to 3 again. Okay, so sometimes we automatically get the fruit, and sometimes not. Not confusing at all. Anyway, we reach the gravity-defying fruit again, where we spin the first fruit, and then make use of a small bug. By spinning when jumping onto the jump crates, we can actually land on them, so I was able to jump from there to spin the next fruit. The rest of the miracle floating fruit though, had to just time right as we got sprung up, which did take a few attempts to get the timing down at spinning mid-spring, but eventually got it. So was the rest of the level easy? Not even close. First, we had this 3 stack of boxes, which for some reason, we couldn't jump around like we did earlier. Thankfully, the top box is one of the keys for the bonus level, so no issues breaking that box and jumping over. Then, accidentally died in the final stretch. But shouldn't be a problem, just do the same thing, right? Well, that's when weird stuff started happening. Okay, that's weird. Reset. And now we get it here. And the next go. And then we're standing completely still and we get it. What is going on? Even resetting with the game over didn't change anything. So if anyone knows or has an idea of what is going on, please tell me, because we somehow managed to get through this section without collecting the magically appearing fruit, because we did it faster, did a different jump somewhere, waited in a certain place a moment longer. I still have no clue. But by luck, we avoided it somehow, managed to get through, 0 Wumpa collected. That was a pretty difficult and somewhat glitchy level. Finally onto some new levels, and thankfully nowhere near as tricky. Boulders was slightly awkward having to run into the camera, which did lead to one time getting squished, but managed to avoid on the next go. Then in upstream, apart from spinning a fish into a fruit randomly off screen somewhere, which then required a reset, no fruit needed here, just some spins needed to clear the platforms so we could jump between them. Papu Papu, boss fights don't contain fruit, so we don't need to worry about them. Onto Rolling Stones, where I thought we were starting immediately with problems, but we could just walk around it. And the rest being precise jumps, avoiding the stones, no box issues in the way. Hogwild was slightly annoying. While pathing to avoid the enemies moving about, it makes us run into boxes beforehand. Luckily there was always a way to avoid them with a jump, but a close call as we didn't have many options in this level to avoid stuff. Then this weirdly placed box, for some reason again and again running into. Mainly as there's a very small window between landing and getting the jump to get past it. After a few fails, managed it, and we got to the end. I wasn't excited to see one of these levels so soon after the debacle of the last one. And it was the return of the magic flying Wumpa, which we had to slowly take our time to spin away. But that was fine. Even managed to get to the next spring box and clear those fruit out. So good start. This could be problems though. So 1, the low box we can break, but leads to the stack dropping down and cause us to gain that box's Wumpa fruit. So that method's out. And to note, for some reason we can't jump around these as well, like we could with the boxes earlier, so the easy way is out as well. The life box we could break, but then if I fail, it's a Wumpa box when we return the next time, making the situation even worse. But it did lead to an idea. When we spin the TNT, it destroys the box above, and the Wumpa with it. We're able to do this with the free Aku we get from dying a lot, which lets us survive the spin, so that's fine, but does leave the remaining 3 boxes. So the first step is to return them to being life boxes. Which was trickier than I thought, because a game over doesn't do it. Neither does completing another level and then coming back to this level. In fact, I had to close the game and come back in order for those boxes to reset. Was worth it in the end though, as with those boxes back, we can now finally get past this hurdle. Straight into more floating fruit. Thankfully though, this time they're just out the way so we can avoid them without the spinning, apart from the last jump. That was a tough level though, but managed it, and we don't have any more of this level type going forward, thank God. The next one up the creek had a couple of tight box places that I had to walk around, and on a misjudged jump, even managed to save it, spin the fruit away on landing. But other than that, nothing more to this level. Quick hello to Ripperoo, then to the next set of levels, which was basically a speed run. A couple of easy spinnables in Lost City. Same in Temple Ruins across some platforms, having to spin as we jump to each one to clear our path. Road to Nowhere doesn't have any fruit littered about, just boxes, so avoid the boxes, avoid the fruit, easy. And although the front facing camera was back in Boulder Dash, handily all the fruits only appeared one at a time, so easy to spin them away as they appeared. Just leaving Sunset Vista for these levels, where the only mistake was me forgetting that spinning enemies into other enemies gave us fruit, so a reset to that, and remembered that going forward, with the rest being tricky platforming, but no boxes or fruit in our way. Ending this group of levels with a quick battle with Koala Kong. Well, that's a great introduction to heavy machinery. Then, after we got past that, we were immediately blocked by this 3-stack. Luckily, we've already learnt how to deal with this. Had to be precise on the jumps for the next couple of boxes, immediately failing, but saving it by spinning before landing. So a very messy start to this one, and the worst part was waiting at the end. Floating Wumpa, plus super fast bounce pads, meant could hardly spin in time, and had to wander all the way back and jump into the abyss on each failed go in order to reset. Taking the time for each one though, and getting the timing down, finally managed to get through it, and finish this pretty tricky level. Big difference from our last run of levels though. Cortex power at first all seemed to be fine. The overhead camera angle made judging jumps a bit trickier, but no real issues. That is, until the end. Headed straight through and had forgotten the switch for the extra boxes, and don't think this is really going to work without them, so quick restart. Grab the switch, boxes appear, and the issue is still an issue. Bouncing on the boxes is fine, the fruit is left in the acid and we don't collect it, all good there. It's the floating ones above that we couldn't seem to avoid. Jumping around didn't seem to work, and spinning them away this time was no bueno. Or was it? Tried a random idea I had, and it worked out. By running while spinning, we continued travelling over the boxes. That also spinned away the first floating fruit and got us close enough to reach the other side with a jump. Bit of a save there, but that was a real close one for this challenge. Almost gave up on this one. Well, this is giving me flashbacks to level 2. Oh, did not realise I could fall through there. We've got this though, same story from earlier. Well, that's unfortunate. Managed it on the next go though, and just had to clear a few stray fruit through the lesser level to get through. Then, nothing worth mentioning on Toxic Waste, as is literally a straight run to the end with no fruit in the way for us. Said hello to Pinstripe, and we're on to the final 6 level stretch. 6 being the high road, where I just had these initial fruit to spin away, and the rest of the boxes in the way we could avoid by making use of the ropes. 5. Slippery Climb. A difficult level on its own, but for this challenge, not a single Wumpa fruit in the entire level. Other than in boxes, but most of them are out the way in alcoves. Number 4, Lights Out. Same as Toxic Waste from earlier, a literal straight line to get through. Although we'll hold my hands up, did forget again about the enemy spin into enemies gives fruit, for like the 3rd or 4th time at this point. So I had to reset on that, but other than that, clean run to the end. On to the last 3. Jaws of Darkness, which unlike the last couple of levels, does have quite a few Wumpa in the way, but mostly single fruit that we can spin away easily. Then with the boxes, having plenty of space to either move around or jump to the side of. Then Castle Machinery, being the same level type as Heavy Machinery from earlier, so I was pretty scared going in. Started off well, just some enemies to clear, red hot pipes to avoid, and a Naku mask to collect. Well, I had great timing on that. Sorry, Crash. Ah. Oh. Luckily, spinning them doesn't give us fruit, so a bit of a save there. But then the springs are back. Not run ending, but did take forever to spin away each one slowly, methodically, before being safe to progress. Then the sight of this scared me, but again, we don't get the Wumpa just jumping on them, so that was fine as well. Honestly feel this level has just been a series of jump scares, thinking they're run enders again and again, but they're being okay. Thankfully, after getting past a series of enemies, we were clear to get out of this one. Just leaving Dr. Brio, where we spin his green potion pets back at him, and the final level, the lab, which did have some last bit of fruit spinning in order to reveal switches and open doors, but other than that, was a somewhat clean run through to the end. Leaving us to finish Cortex and the challenge, meaning you can beat the entirety of Crash Bandicoot without collecting a single Wumpa fruit. Good luck doing it in one go though. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you for the next one.